the show where we talk to top executives and management and game changers about their business outlook, their journey getting to the top, and their interests outside of business. I'm Ralph Rivas. In this episode of Business Sense, we will be talking to Mica Tan. Mica is the CEO and president of MFT Group of Companies, and she's only 29 years old, turning 30 this year. She was CEO at 25. So, Mica, how did you get there? Tell us about your journey.
Hi, Ralph. Thank you for having me. Speaking of journey, Rappler has always been part of that journey. And I just want to say, from just reading about Maria Ressa to finally having an opportunity to panel with her and discuss important things, it's a dream come true for a young entrepreneur like me. So thank you for having me. So the journey of MFT and my journey, we focus on three sectors. We focus on healthcare, food, and financial services. And these sectors actually have people behind them as inspiration. And for healthcare, it was my father who inspired me to pursue this sector. Growing up with a dad who was a cancer specialist, he pioneered brachytherapy, which at that time was a breakthrough cancer treatment. And so I was surrounded by that influence, by machines. And I remember him talking about machines as if I were a doctor. And so in our travels, we would always visit hospitals, and that inspired us to focus on the sector. For food naman, my mom was the inspiration for us getting into F&B investments. We grew up in the kitchen. The kitchen was our happy place. We would meet there midnight and even later than that. And so she really introduced us to the love of cooking and food, except me. I can't cook and I'm useless in the kitchen, but all my siblings can. And the third and the last one would be financial services. And this was inspired by one of my first mentors. And he was a business partner of my dad. And he was also the patriarch of one of the oldest pawn shop chains here in the country. And so that led us to building a fintech company also. And so I owe the journey to those three people.
Mhm. So, Mica, before you got into MFT and became the CEO and president of MFT, um, ano ba? Were you always interested in business? I mean, others found passion in perhaps art, despite being surrounded with business-minded people. So, ikaw, in your teenage years, were you always interested in business?
I was. Growing up, my siblings would have their small businesses, very entrepreneurial. I think we got that from our mom. So she was a jeweler, so she would carry the business wherever she went, and I think that rubbed off on us. But at the same time, I was always curious because I'd ask my dad to teach me about stocks, to teach me about investments, and he'd always say, "Nako, don't talk to me about that." No, I talk to me about medicine, but when it comes to business, he would always push me to have conversations with my uncles or his friends. So I think that was where the support and the interest came from.
Mm. Okay, so tell us more about MFT. I know it's involved in business transformation and business equity. So tell us more about that. I'm sure our audience is curious and are not very familiar with those terms.
Mhm. So at first it can be a little daunting. No, at first even I was intimidated. But when you talked a little bit about private equity more, it's really about buying, fixing, and then eventually selling a business. And now those who are in private equity, we we look for um, companies, and we find value during times of recession, or when a company may be struggling or may need more assistance. And so we focus on business transformation, and we are change agents. So that's what we do when we partner with our company. So it doesn't have to be too complicated. It's as simple as that, but that entails a lot of teams, a lot of good managers and executives to join us. So yeah, that's what we do.
Hmm. Well, you mentioned about recession and hard times. We're in a recession. So, did you find opportunities this time?
Yes, there have been opportunities, even if they are unfortunate sometimes. The healthcare sector is something we've been very passionate about. It is still our biggest business within the portfolio. And something that MFT Group does is, we take brands also to different parts of the world. Like we're a strategic partner of a brand I think that would be close to you, like Salad Stop, taking it to Spain, taking the brand to Vietnam. And so that gives us, as a group or as a portfolio, that gives us geographical diversification. And some markets may perform better than the others. And so that gives a balance to our group of companies.
Hmm. So you mentioned diversification, and that also means you're quite familiar kung anong mga sectors yung nag-succeed and are thriving in this pandemic, and businesses struggling. Trying to stay afloat, trying to survive. So tell us more about that. Sa observations mo, which sectors have thrived and which sectors are struggling in this pandemic?
I think a lot of us, and we've all experienced that tourism and the hotel industry, food is badly hit, but healthcare always is there. It's a defensive, and they call it a recession resistant sector. And so on our end, we distribute machines. Big machines that is essential for hospitals. And so there are big opportunities there. Technology also is one, but we really focus our efforts on the healthcare sector.
Hmm. Now tell us about your leadership style naman, Mika. You're a millennial, and you're leading a team. So with different age groups, I suppose. So tell us how that's like.
I think it's nothing different from the rest of us. I think all companies now are multi generational, right? And there for us, well, for me, there is no young or old. And I'm fortunate enough to be working with people from different generations. I don't latch on if you're a baby boomer or a Gen X or a millennial. For me, a team is a team, and daily interactions fuel me. We learn from each other, we make mistakes, and we learn from those mistakes, but we're all a work in progress. But I think what has helped me work with teams with a lot more senior people is what I call intellectual humility. I think that humility is the cornerstone of leadership, and that's something that, regardless of age, I think we should bring that with us. So that has helped me through this journey.
Hmm. Now, as a leader, ano mga natutunan mo this pandemic?
Oh wow! I cannot say that I am. I've reached my fitness goal, so maybe that part I'm not there yet. But when it comes to, I think, the spiritual life, or you know, making time to be quiet, to the silence, appreciating the silence also. You know, one thing also I learned in the pandemic is we can be living with our husbands, wives, or family. We can be working from home, but spending time to have those conversations with them that we wouldn't have had if we were in the office or we were out all the time. I appreciate that the most. The little things like spending time with my dogs, or uh, having having or making an effort to create your own sanctuary at home, like even if the space can be small or whatever size, having that own space of yours. Yeah, I think those are the things I've learned the past year.
Now, so you're able to you're I mean, all of us are struggling to find that balance, work life and balance, kasi parang nagiging mixed na siya in this pandemic. You're nasa bahay ka lang, and medyo mahirap na parang to tell, am I working, or am I taking a break, or things like that. So how anong mga na-apply mo in work naman, with you mentioned appreciating silence,
Mhm.
finding that that zen mode.
Yeah.
Ano namang na-apply, anong mga na-apply mo sa work naman in this pandemic, things that you've learned, you've tweaked, perhaps your leadership
Mhm.
styles, may mga nagbago ba in this pandemic?
Yes. I think I've changed. It's funny because I recently took the Myers-Briggs test, and from a from an extrovert, somehow when I took the test, I became an introvert. And I think in the company we've all changed, right? And we made those changes too. We took the risk to be more creative. Something I'd like to share is what we call the MFT calendar. And so it's our own calendar system. And so what it does is we just add 3 lines to our calendar. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is the first half of the week, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the second half. And it's funny because at first, when we rolled it out, people are saying, you just added lines. How's that going to change anything? And that promoted a way for us to guide and focus our attention. So, who said you can't have too many weekends in a week? Like Wednesday would be um, the end of our first week. So we would have our company town halls on a Wednesday. And of course, Sunday is sacred for us. So, that's time for the family. And so we did that. We made our own calendar. And that is something very interesting for us. And also it allows us to have our hard stops. I wasn't like that before. I even days before Christmas or even on Christmas, sometimes you'd find me in the office still working. And the pandemic has shifted that mindset. And so a lot more balance now. So yeah, those are some of the changes. I think the company is happy that I'm not like that anymore.
So, well, let me just clarify yung tatlong lines in the calendar. Is that parang this line symbolizes na you can take a break, or pwedeng mag-relax ng konti, or how does that work?
So how it works is it gives the teams an opportunity. Let's say you're not able to do certain or accomplish things Monday to Wednesday. It promotes a second chance mindset or a bounce back mindset that, oh, Thursday, Friday, or sometimes Saturday, we can still make up for maybe the things we haven't accomplished. We also declare our own MFT holiday. We usually set the middle second week Friday, so mid month. We set that MFT holiday, and that gives us, the whole organization time to reset and recharge. So we somehow self-declared that in our organization, and I think it has helped a lot of people add more balance to their lives and to mine also.
So a self-declared holiday, a company-declared holiday, on top of the leaves and vacation leaves, ba ganon? Ganon ba?
Yes, yes.
Oh, wow.
And it's something. It's part of our values, value of time, and we. I think everybody had experienced all the struggles, personal and at work last year, and so that's our way to also say thank you to our organization. That things may not be as ideal, and the big changes that we had to make, but at the same time, that's also our gift, the gift of time for them to spend more time with their families. Yeah, so it's been working well. I don't think we're gonna, even when there's more normalcy in day-to-day work, we will keep that MFT holiday for balance.
Okay, so let me challenge you a little on that strategy, no? Kasi most companies, traditional companies, they resist that type of setup kasi it might affect productivity.
Mm.
Na, 'di ba, parang sa ibang bansa, 4 days lang yung work and we have 3 days
Yeah.
off. So leaders would say that's no, sayang yung isang araw eh. Now, I mean that as well. Parang I think some would say na some leaders would say na oy sayang isang araw na yan, you could have done this or that or
Mhm.
promoted this instead of a holiday. So does what's the numbers, parang naging productive ba talaga yung MFT on that? Is that successful for others to replicate?
I think that it would really depend on the values of the organization, right, or the company. I think there is a factor that we are multi generational, and at the helm, I am still young, and I think understanding also the aspirations of the different generations who work with us. It has helped a lot. I think it promotes that discipline, that what you think you can do in 2 weeks, you can actually accomplish in one, right? And it gives that focus. And I think all of us would need that reset. I mean, we are embracing hybrid work, so even if you're at home, and as long as um, things are being done and items in your OKRs are being checked, then it's okay to just have four work days just for that week, mid month, like a reset. I think it has helped us, and the numbers continue to show that it has.
Okay, so here's a question from social media from Bing. What is your advice to people who have business ideas but no funds or lack of capital?
Okay. Thanks, Bing, for for asking that. I think the value of starting out anything comes in the relationships around you. I mean, we don't have to look so far. I mean, when I started out, I really reached out to family and friends, and these people who I searched for mentors. I searched for people who would spend time to guide me through that path that I wanted to take. And so, if you're starting a business and you may not have capital, um, keep talking to people, be on the hunt for who you think can help you out, and you're going to find that one person who will believe in you, the same way that I did. And they're going to invest, or they're going to help you out, both intellectually or capital wise, and they're going to be part of that journey. So I think just have the perseverance also to not stop, and keep looking for that right partner and build the right team.
Interesting. Yung takeaway ko dyan, talagang pwede palang laway muna yung puhunan, di ba? Talagang kailangan chika muna or you really need to find that person. You really have to connect and then talk well, be eloquent, be confident, di ba?
Yes, yes. I mean, fight for that dream. I mean, many people are going to go against it, right? The same way that happened to me, that still happens sometimes. But you'll find the right people who may share the same values. They may have more experience, and they'll help you. So, yes.
Hmm. Ikaw, I mean, you talk to a lot of people of different ages, different backgrounds. So, how do you do it? What's your ano ba? May bibigay ka bang tip on how to talk to people for you to pitch that brilliant idea?
I think if there are three things that I can share. Well, number one, again, is humility. I think that we all have our own journey to learn how important it is. For me, it is the cornerstone of leadership, to ask for help when you need help and not be ashamed, to ask many people for help if it means that. The second is to the willingness, right, to live outside the herd. I mean, your idea may be different, it may be unique, and the courage to keep fighting for it. Um, every time you have an opportunity to talk to a person about your vision or about the business, take that chance. People will laugh, people will applaud, people will question, and that's part of it. And the better you are at it, then the closer you are to making it a reality. And I think the third would be a proper appreciation of risk and uncertainty, right? Because every venture or business will have its risks. Sometimes it will have its uncertainties, but the things that you feel you cannot do, find the people who can do it better, or who are already really good at it. So yeah,
Mhm.
those are the things I'd like to share. Like every
Mhm.
chance you can, um, every chance that you get to speak about it, um, go speak about it.
Mhm.
Like today, I mean, this is a chance for to be heard. I'm still early in this journey. We're far from where we want to be, but um, these are one of the examples. If you have a chance, talk about it.
Hmm. Do you set goals, Mika? By 35, I need to be this now, or by 40, I need to be this, by 50. May ganun ka bang mindset?
I thank you for asking that. I used to, right? I used to. I think also because we tend to compare ourselves with the people around us, right? Their Instagram is so entertaining, or they have X number of followers. All these little things, sometimes it gets to us. um, in business as well, I used to have that. I said I'll only get married when this happens. I'll only start a family when this happens. And I think what I've learned is, I used to be so bold with my goals. I would talk about them, and nothing wrong with that. I think that's part of also being very young and aggressive. But at the same time, I realized that I have simpler goals now. I have simpler goals now. They're equally as as um, as big or as difficult, as challenging, but I have simpler goals now. And I think we have to the willingness to live outside the herd, find their own space, and be comfortable in our own space, and stop comparing, because your whole life, right, people will say things, but at the end of the day, listen to the voice, and the voice of the people who matter. So the people
Hmm.
closest to me, that's where I pick up on what goals I'm gonna set.
Hmm. Okay, Mika, meron tayong medyo specific na question, no, from Ralph Miklap. What do you think about the rising technology like cryptocurrency and blockchain? Are you looking at that? MFT is always, looking at different businesses. Are you looking at that sector?
So yes, we look into that. We study a lot of things, and we also have affiliations with a trading firm, and we have a number of traders who have all these research, and most of them have had their successes with trading Bitcoin and things like that. But really, it's about you know um, proper forecasting, studying the trends, but at the same time asking ourselves how we're going to apply what we're learning from these to our own businesses. But if it's an interest and you yourself wanna trade and really become good at it, I think I would encourage it. But
Mhm.
like I said earlier, that right balance of risk and uncertainty, it's something that we have to hold dear, especially when it comes to tech or when it comes to Bitcoin. But going out there and speaking to people who are experts at it, I would encourage that. And
Mhm.
again, being in technology, or being very attracted to it, widens our worldview, right? Because it changes so many aspects of our daily lives. So I would encourage it. I mean, go out and seek the best people who are really good at it, and
Mhm.
let's learn from them together.
Hmm. Quick follow-up, Mika. Paano maa-apply kaya ng traditional businesses to? You know, those kinds of talk on blockchain. Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, not specifically on blockchain, but I think the what interests me more are the people who are, making these transformations, right? The thought process, the way they ended up thinking about it, their perspective, their worldview, the questions that they ask themselves that led them to becoming successful in that. And that would include different types of people, right? I mean, economists and bankers and traders, or even young people like us. That's what I would look into. I would study that a lot, and I'd like to understand their worldview that led them to this type of opportunity.
Hmm. Okay, Mika, ito, before we let you go, no, I want to ask about personal finance tips. I mean, of course, it's very difficult to give advice in a very general sense, but
Mm-hmm.
this question I want to address for millennials that have a job that are, earning some, di ba? Nahihirapan mag-ipon, or kung nag-iipon man, nagagastos agad. Anong advice mo for that? Where should they put their money, and how should they be more, how do we become financially responsible as millennials?
Wow. I think this is my favorite question by far. But when it comes to money management, everyone has a different style, right? But I mean, like for me, I only have like three or four pairs of shoes. I don't like shopping for clothes. The people close to me know that. But I like um, looking for good investments that will increase in value. I study a lot. But if I could give five tips, maybe my first one would be work with financial advisors. They have the math, they have the tools, and take a hard look at spending. Like, really try to understand the behavioral psychology side of it, right? Why am I spending on this, or why am I spending this much on this? So take a hard look at your spending habits. That's number one. Number two is align your spending with your values. And this is also my favorite because, especially for us, when we buy products or when we support companies or brands, we'd like to buy things from companies that, they have a mission that we believe in also, right? Number three would be think about the time you spent working for that money, the time you spent, earning that money, and money can represent your time. So think about it hard. Number four, so I have a lot, Ralph.
Mm.
Number
Yeah, yeah,
four,
sige.
number four is, oh, this is also one of my favorites. I believe in the philosophy: what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed, right? So track our finances, set that weekly meeting with yourself or with your husband or your wife, your family, even with yourself. Set that, put that in your calendar. Study your Excel files. And number five, which I think we picked up from each of us can pick up from our parents. Our moms and our dads, they have this discipline which is historically traditional, right? But let's pick up from the way that they saved, right? And they have traditional rules that are still applicable today. And I guess let's mix that discipline with new automated technology and tools that are available everywhere. So yeah, I hope that helps. Those are my five tips.
Okay. Yan guys, ang daming sinabi ni Mika. And of course, Mika, as CEO at 29, hindi mahilig sa shopping. So she really takes a hard look on her finances. Of course, now, kung hindi ka mahilig sa shopping, ano ba interests mo, Mika, outside of business? Outside, what do you do on your day off? Do you read books, watch movies? Anong hobbies mo?
I think I'm like a lot of us. I watch a lot of movies. I read a lot of books. I think that's one thing I will not scrimp on. I would buy a number of books. I'd spend time to really read them. But at the same time, I used to dive. I used to scuba dive a lot in the past. I haven't done that in a while, but I can't wait to do that again. And I love my drives to wherever. I mean, doesn't matter where. Packing some snacks or a cooler, inviting some friends, driving to wherever. I would do that if given a chance more on weekends to just have the travel doesn't have to be so far, and right now we can't that far for some of us, but it's really spending time with the people around me more, having those deep conversations with them or driving up to wherever. Those are the things I'd like to do.
Okay, so I know it's really hard to pick a favorite book, di ba? Parang imposible. Pero any books that you'd like to recommend na to people that are, with us right now? Something inspiring or, I don't know, just to get our minds off this pandemic, siguro.
Yeah, I put them, so I'm surrounded by books. You can't see them now, but really that's my happy place. I actually picked some, and if you don't mind, I could show them. The first
Yes.
one, and so halatano, they're really just around me. The first one, I think most of you know. It's called "The Obstacle Is the Way" by Ryan Holiday. So I love this book so much, and it's if you look at it, there's so many highlights already. I read this almost every day, so that's one.
Wait,
Another
what's
book.
the takeaway dyan? What about that book? The
Uh,
Obstacle is the Way. Interesting
so,
title.
yes. So with this one, so what the main message here is, the obstacle in front of you is that's really part of your path. And I think in my personal take on it is a problem that we're facing, big or small, it's designed for us to face, right? It's designed for me. If there's a challenge in front of me, that's perfectly designed for Mica Tan to solve. And the book talks about philosophies or mindsets on how to solve it. So turning obstacles into advantage, and opportunities. So that's
Oh,
one.
okay.
And so I have three more. So the second
Sige.
one, do we have time for three more?
Yeah, sige, go ahead.
Okay.
We have all the time for you, Mika.
Okay. The second one is interesting. This is a Filipino author, and it's actually one of my mentors too. His name is Jose P. Leviste, and it's called "If the Philippines Had a Lee Kuan Yew." And wonderful. He's amazing, and he has talks about. I think it's there. No, if the Philippines had the Lee Kuan Yew, what changes we can make as a country. So, and then the third is, and this could be the last one. The third is by William Thorndike. It's called The Outsiders. And so it was published by Harvard Business Review Press, and it talks about unconventional CEOs, and the way that they create their own blueprint. So yeah, I hope those are interesting for you guys.
Okay, Mika, I gotta admit I've not read any of those books. So sige, I'll look into it and yeah, this was an inspiring conversation. Yung takeaway ko is you really gotta set goals. You really gotta track your goals and how to achieve them. You gotta talk to people and be confident. Get yourself out there, and
Mhm.
regardless of age, a team is a team, diba?
Yes.
Yun talaga. So thanks so much for your time, Mica Tan. And that has been another episode of Business Sense. I'm Ralph Rivas. Thanks for watching.